All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back
to what up?
Market Mondays. The market is closed, but Market Mondays is open.
That's a common
Always.
thing.
Yes.
Always working.
Hope you guys are enjoying your last couple hours of summer, the unofficial end of summer, Labor Day.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's the I think the official day is the 22nd for the summer solstice, but the unofficial
21st.
The unofficial day is Labor Day.
Yep.
I'm not even sure what Labor Day is. I think it's for labor workers. I'm assuming holiday for workers.
Yeah, for people who fought for labor unions. I looked this up. So it's people who fought for labor unions throughout the country, and people who have just worked tirelessly throughout the year. It's a day of rest and acknowledgement for them. So shout out to all the workers out there. And you know what tomorrow is up here? Back to school.
Yeah, first day of school.
Yeah, first day of school for the kiddies. Yeah.
Worst time of the year.
It still gives me anxiety when I think about it.
Shout out to Randy Floyd. I ran into him today.
Word?
Yeah, guidance counselor at our old high school. We got some big things planned for Woodland High School, but yeah.
I think not Randy Floyd. Joe Floyd.
Joe Floyd.
I'm about to say, you ran into Randy Floyd?
Joe Floyd. Shout out to Joe Floyd.
Shout out to Villanova.
Yes.
And Randy.
Yes.
Randy, a Villanova legend. That's a fact.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into this. I'm not going to rant for a half an hour because I know a lot of you guys were unhappy about that. So
the new rants and gems.
Rants and gems. We're going to give you as much information as possible. Beforehand, quick announcements. Tomorrow, big episode, the legend himself, Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
ET. That's a dope one. Talks about his whole backstory, his business structure, of course, a lot of motivation, inspiration, but really detailed. And we interviewed him with his partner, CJ.
Which is very rare. Very rare. CJ doesn't really do interviews. And
CJ's the man behind the scenes. So, it was dope to have them together. So Eric Thomas and CJ tomorrow at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. Don't miss it. And then this week is a big week for us. Of course, we got Fashion Week on Friday. So, all right, here's the deal with that. So it's one of these things where
listen up, folks.
All right, so it kind of went a little, it went crazy. So what we're gonna do is because the venue, it was issues with the venue, so we can only fit a certain amount of people in the venue, and everybody that RSVP'd is not gonna be able to attend, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna send emails out by tomorrow, and if you get an email saying that you can attend, your RSVP is good, then you can come. If you get an email that says that we were not able to honor the RSVP, then that means that we couldn't do it. So I think United Masters is going to send everybody that couldn't make it, they're going to send them a video of the event, and they're going to get some other bonuses and different things of that nature. But, we love all you, but unfortunately, the venue is just not big enough to facilitate every single person. And we don't want to do what we did in London, where we have 2,500 people on the street in Brooklyn.
Different city.
It's a little different.
A little different than New York.
We do not want that.
But if you are there, it's guaranteed vibe, legendary situation. And it's one of these, it's going to be a night to remember. But what we did do also is that we added Thursday. So Thursday is going to be all day education. And my guy Mike B is going to be there. And this is going to be people that's actually in the fashion world, and they're going to be educating people on the business of fashion, the difference between, different fabrics, cut and sew. So it's going to be a whole day of education for free. And you can RSVP for that because there's still some tickets available for that. So I'll put the link in the description of this video. You can RSVP for that if you want. That's on Thursday. And once again, that's education. That's all day education in the world of fashion. Some of the top minds in fashion will be there, and they will be, talking about their journey, giving information, workshop type setting. It's going to be real dope. And then Friday, of course, is the big show. It will be a historical event. And if you...
Gonna be amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
You want me to lie to you? Of course it is. It's gonna be historical. Drip responsibly. That's all.
Shotty already geared up.
Oh, we ready. Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be. I'm working on something. Something. Everything's top secret. People were like, what's gonna happen at the show? It's top secret.
Everything top secret.
People like, what you gonna wear? Top secret.
Yo, we don't. we don't even know what we like. I don't know what he's wearing, and he don't know what I'm wearing. We just
Yeah, I
show
haven't
up.
finalized yet, and
No, we don't do that. We don't like, hey, Shai. I'm like, yo, what you gonna wear? I'm just like, yo, I know he gonna show up, so let me show up. And then when we meet for the first time, I'm like, yeah, he put that shit on.
Ian Dunlap will be in the building.
absolutely, in all my glory.
Have you picked out your outfit?
I picked out a few.
Okay.
Oh,
You gotta have options.
out a few.
okay.
Gotta
I
have
like
some
that.
options.
Gotta
Yeah,
have
you
options.
know, I may
Word,
do a
a few.
wardrobe change.
Wardrobe change.
Wardrobe change is never a bad idea.
That might be
It's never a bad
facilitate
idea.
that. That is okay.
But you know, it's gonna be a vibe, man. It's gonna be a big day.
Weather's gonna be great too.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I think 82 degrees. They say
It's gonna be amazing. Man.
Weather in
Shout
New
out
York is amazing. You know what else is amazing in New York? The pizza. When I come out there,
I hope they hit your DMs up about that.
boy, I for real got like 400 messages at least. So I will stop my slander and shout out to everybody in New Jersey who's gonna protect me while I'm out there. I love y'all.
BK, but once again, we love you guys. Sorry for the inconvenience. Check your emails, and everybody that is able to attend on Friday is going to be a vibe. And if you're not able to attend on Friday, of course, we're going to have a bunch of other events, you know, throughout the course of the year. And, you know, we'll be publishing everything. You'll be able to see everything. And, you know, we'll be doing different type of events all throughout the course of the year, some big, some small. But, you know, unfortunately, this has just had to be a little bit more intimate. All right.
Oh,
That's
real
all I
quick,
got to
if
say.
they are attending, can you give them some advice for what they should wear to have the biggest impact and be able to stand out?
Good question. I feel like you should always be comfortable no matter what you do, and everybody's sense of style is different. But for me personally, I'm a big fan of colors, and I think especially if you're in an environment like this where there's going to be a lot of people from the fashion world, a lot of, you know, everybody's going to be into fashion on a fashion vibe. One way to stand out is colors. Hint, hint on what I might do without giving it away. But colors is never a bad idea. I'm a big fan of colors. But you can also play it, you know, you could do neutral. You could do black, you could do white, you could do cream, as long as you fly. But I feel like, you know, the inner confidence is always the most important thing. So what you're wearing is one thing, but what's inside of you is more important. And if you have inner confidence, and, you know, you're not afraid to introduce yourself to people, you're not afraid to speak, you're going to stand out for sure. So, you know, just make sure you moisturize your skin, drink a lot of water.
That matters.
That's important. I don't even think we should. I don't want to limit anybody's artistic expression. And so I just say, whatever you think is fly, just wear that. But comfortability is important. I've seen a lot of people, they sacrifice the look for comfort, and then by an hour in, they're like, yo, I can't wear this no more. My foot hurts. The zip is about to rip. So make sure that you're comfortable. It's going to be a beautiful evening. It's going to be a beautiful day in New York City on Friday. So come ready. Just drip responsibly. That's all. Like, your fly is your fly. And that's what's going to, you know, the first time somebody comes in contact with you, they're going to see what you look like. And that's going to be the first representation before you ever speak. So keep that in mind as well.
Fellas, Tom Ford cologne is always a good one to go with too.
Tom Ford is a solid one.
Yes.
That's a solid one.
Yeah.
Chanel Blue is another one.
Chanel. I just wore Chanel today.
Yeah, Chanel. I smelled when you came in.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to United Masters, our partners in that. Shout out to Ally, our other partner in that. So we want to let you know about a great choice if you're looking to bank or invest. Ally is a leading digital financial service company with passionate customer service and relentlessly focused on doing it right for both customers and our communities. Ally is giving our market money viewers a special offer on ally.com/EYL so that you can save, invest, and spend on the things that matter most to you. Again, that's ally.com/EYL. For everything we need, we're all better off with an Ally. Securities, products, and services are offered through Ally Invest Securities, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, and shout out to the good folks. We will see them and you on Friday. So real quick, you know how this works. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important that you do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you hear on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother, Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Appreciate y'all.
Ian, announcements?
Stock Club call will be tomorrow at 9:30. All my meetings will be moved to Wednesdays at 3 p.m. So for those of you, if we have a meeting scheduled, Going to do a group call, and then I'll see you guys in New York for this amazing Fashion Week event. And we'll be in Future Proof the 12th.
Yeah.
So with Josh Brown to do a live version.
Shout out to Josh Brown. Yes, Huntington Beach, California. Get your tickets. We'll be at Future Proof Conference. All of us, all three of us, will be doing Market Mondays from Huntington Beach. Always a good reason to get to California.
Yeah.
So that's a vibe.
Finance on the beach.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, like that.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get into this. So I want to start with this Bank of America thing because that's very controversial. Got a lot of attention. Shout out to MG the Mortgage Guy. He posted it. I reposted it. Then they did a whole episode about it. So check that episode out for more context. But Bank of America launches zero down mortgage program for Black and Hispanic first-time home buyers. Do you think this will be good in long term for us or harmful? And let me just say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it wasn't necessarily for Black or brown. It was just for neighborhoods, and it's for minority people, but it's more geared towards the actual neighborhood, which the neighborhood could be our Black and brown neighborhoods, but it's not necessarily that you have to be Black and brown. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the incentives was to create more first-time home buyers. And so some of the barriers that have been stopping the Black and brown community has been down payment, things like that. So the program was just for first-time home buyers to try to alleviate the wealth gap. We know that a lot of the wealth gap was separated from the 50s to, I mean, the 40s and 50s to now because of the equity in homes and home ownership. And so that was something that we were alienated from. Even the effects of it are felt now today. So this was like the program's idea was based on that. Now the location part is like, those are some of the criteria. And so there's a few of them. I'm gonna run down. I know you want to say something just really quickly. So it's going to allow first-time home buyers to purchase a home with no down payment, no mortgage insurance, and zero closing costs. But there are some criteria for it, right? So the first thing is you have to be credit worthy. There's no specific credit score to be in the program, but you have to be credit worthy so that they're going to look, are you paying your bills on time? Are you paying your light bill, your electricity bill? But there's no specific credit score. So I know like in traditional lending, it's like, yo, you got to have a 520 or you got to have a 650 to qualify for some programs. So there's no specific score, but you have to be credit worthy. The other part is that the eligibility is going to be based on your income and the location of the property. And so that's where the property, that's where the property, neighborhood. It depends on where you're going to do it at. And so they're going to use the credit guidelines, like I said, timely rent, utility bills, phone, and auto insurance payments to determine how credit worthy you are. The other part is that you have to complete, right? Before you can even be a part or considered, you have to complete a home buyer certification course provided by the Bank of America and HUD, approved housing counseling partners, before you can even submit for the loan application. So those are the things that you have to do in order to even be a part of the program. So I just want to give everybody the complete information on it.
The parts of it that I do like is that it is going to give people a chance who may not have, like you said, have the money for the down payment to become a home owner. That part I do like. A program like this has been done in my hometown of East Chicago, Indiana. So that part I'm in love with. The part that I'm worried about are two things. Number one, possibility for gentrification. So the credit worthiness part is the part, because if there's no transparent guidelines to the consumer base for what is needed, what if some applicants get turned down and you're deemed not credit worthy, but people, let's say California, New York, if our communities don't get access to these loans and these areas get gentrified at a faster rate, that is a cause for concern for me. And then, given that we're in a downturn, they haven't announced that we're officially in a recession. 2023, they probably will. I don't want in 2024 the housing collapse to be blamed on us as it was in 2007 and 2008. Anyone who's been in the financial industry knows for the longest time that when these mortgages were created, bundled up, they were used in swap trading and derivatives trading. It was not the home buyer's fault for accepting the loans, because if you went through underwriting and your loan was accepted, that is a responsibility of the bank, the underwriter, and the institutions. But you always need a fall guy in these situations. So those are my two concerns about it. On a surface level, I like it, but never historically has most banks or institutions ever done something for our communities, and there was not a catch to it. I do like Bank of America as a company. I do like it as a stock. I do like Brian Moynihan, the CEO. He's been fantastic over the last 14, 15 years that he's been in. But those are my two concerns that I have about the program.
I got two concerns as well. So when you hear when it says credit worthiness, I worry about what the interest rate will be, right? Because based on your credit score will determine how you know what the interest rate will be. So when credit worthiness doesn't really tell me where I'm going to fall at if I'm in this program, if I'm selected. The other part is that when you say no down payment, that just means that the home loan is going to cover the entire value of the property, right? And so the person that would have put 20% down, obviously they're going to have lower payments. Whereas now, if the entire thing is covered inside the value of the home, the $400,000 home is now going to cost you maybe $5,000 a month to pay the mortgage. That's tough, right? Now, if somebody
interest rates are going up.
While interest rates are going up, which will lead long-term, if we can't afford it, to more defaults, right? And so like now, how does that affect us long-term, right? We default on that home. We were in this program. Who gets the opportunity to now see some of the opportunities of buying these homes who were from people who were once in this program? So those are like two of the things that I'm looking long-term. I'm like, yeah, I kind of need to hear the details, especially on the interest rate.
And especially if, let's say in 2 or 3 years, there's a 12% default rate, in 2030, the talking point is going to be, well, we tried this before and it didn't work and it failed. I wish they would have done this when interest rates were at 0. And then now your mortgage rate was like 2.1%, 2.5%. Even at 5.5, most people can't handle it. If we get back to 8%, like how we were in 2008, it is going to be disastrous, especially with what's the average rental price in New York now? $4,300 in Manhattan. So if you're getting a house, it's 900,000. It's going to eat into like 40 or 50% of your income. Even if you are making mid 6 figures, I wish they would have done this sooner. I really do. I know Matt probably thought I was going to go crazy, but try to keep it on.
Well, they have similar programs. I mean, NACA is something that we've covered before. I know Matt has talked about that before. And that is a program that is actually very similar to this. If you really look at the framework of it, it's very strenuous as far as to get through the program. But NACA is a program that you can actually buy a home with no down payment, no closing costs, no like anything really. And your credit score doesn't really have to be that great, but you have to go through like a long list of things. You have to go through a class, like even the class, is very similar to NACA. So it's not something that I think is, too much different than what is already in place in a lot of different places. It's just that, Bank of America put forth, that's why it made such attention, because obviously they're the second biggest bank in America outside of Chase. So that's real big that Bank of America did it, but there's already kind of programs like that in place. But, it also, Bank of America had a lot of backlash a few months ago with a story that came out that we actually published that went viral, where they were declining Black people for refinancing at a much higher rate than they were declining white people for refinancing. So I don't know, maybe this is a way to kind of,
offset
clean up some of that, negative publicity that they received. I don't know, but, we'll see. I think it's always beneficial whenever you can try to get people in homes. But, it's also, people have to be ready to be in a home as well. So, it doesn't make any sense to just get a house and not have any money, because anything can happen, anything go wrong. And, you don't want to put yourself in a burden where you have a home and now you're just working just to pay your mortgage. That's kind of like, defeating the purpose in a sense, because that's what most people do. And I spoke about this a few years ago when we were in LA. And I said that for most people, buying a home is not the right thing to do. And then people didn't fully understand what I was saying. But I was saying that, I was a financial advisor for 12 years. And I saw where a lot of people would cash out their 401ks. They would liquidate their savings account. They would take all the money that they had and to buy a home. and they think that they're doing something beneficial.
Yeah.
But in reality, you don't have enough money to buy the home. So now you're just struggling just to make ends meet. You depleted all your investment, all your savings, and now every single month you're working just to maintain that mortgage and to pay the taxes and to keep the upkeep on the house. That's not a path to wealth. Yeah, of course, the home will probably appreciate over the course of time, but I mean,
hopefully if you're in the right area.
And
Maybe.
in all reality, in that situation, it probably would have been more beneficial to rent and use that money to invest, use that money to start a business and have more wiggle room. So that's a more advanced conversation that we can have down the line if people are interested in it. But everybody's situation is different. But don't be house rich and cash poor, because that's not a recipe to build wealth. It's not.
Yeah. No, go through.
Nah, I was gonna say, and there's still costs that are associated, even if you don't have the down payment. Like underwriting fees are still something that you're gonna have to pay for. Appraisals are still something you're gonna have to pay for. Titles, fees. There's still fees associated with having a house outside of just the down payment and mortgage. I mean, the mortgage insurance. So there's still fees associated. So yeah, exactly.
All right.
Well,
go ahead.
The last point that I want to make, and to tie back into what you guys were saying, houses are a product of the bank. So just because you own a house, it does not mean that it is the best investment for you. Please get it at a great interest rate. Please get it in an area in which appreciates. If you just need to go to Google or ask next week on the show which areas are best to invest in, because I don't want you guys to hope that your property value is going to go up and you're in an area where it does not accrue a lot of growth in that area. But when we talk about the American dream, the white picket fence, it being a good investment, when that doctrine was originally written, that was from the perspective of the bankers who were selling houses and the mortgages that go with. A house is not a good investment unless you are in an area with low value and it grows tremendously. You get it at a great deal, or you eventually sell at home. So I don't want you to be deceived by marketing or propaganda that you should get a home just because. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Rashad.
There's nothing wrong with renting.
Yeah.
I rented for years.
Yeah.
Not because I had to, because I wasn't in a hurry to not rent.
It's better use of capital, put it elsewhere.
Exactly. And it could be a write-off for your business as well. That's another conversation. So let's talk about the FAANG stocks. So I want to educate people on what FAANG actually is, because they might have heard this term and not really sure. So FAANG, FAANG, is it used to be called Facebook, but it's now Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So big tech. When you hear big tech companies, the largest tech companies in the game, the most important tech companies in the world, they made up the acronym of FAANG. And these are companies that stock had a tremendous rise over the last decade. Not this year, but the last decade, all of these companies' stocks did tremendously well. And there was, they did so well that, people really thought that those were the primary companies that you should invest in and focus your energy in those companies. But obviously times have changed. Meta struggling. Apple is still doing well. Amazon is going to be in good shape, Amazon and Google, but it hasn't done well in the last 18 months when you look at this chart. And Netflix has done terrible. So you, Ian, have proposed a new acronym called
this is proposed by analysts early this week. I have a theory though.
I thought it was you. I wanted to give you credit. I didn't know,
I appreciate the lie, but I don't want them to think that I'm jacking their phrase. The one that we have, I think, is a lot better, but I think it's really interesting. I have a theory though that people have been watching the show quietly and wait till we produce and release the show and then talk about the things we've been talking about after. So this list, shout out to Montana, looks a lot like the stocks that we've talked about here before. So Microsoft, one of my babies, I love you dearly. Apple, absolutely amazing. Tesla, Alphabet or Google, Nvidia. We'll talk about that in a few, and Amazon. So is Montana the new FAANG?
We gonna call it Montana.
Montana.
So shout out to French. So let's go through this. Let's go through this one by one. Microsoft.
Amazing.
Let's do this. Let's talk about, like, let's spend like 1 minute on each company and explain why it's a good company, why it's a bad company, what our thoughts on it. Microsoft. I know that's something that you obviously have been bullish on for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so bullish on Microsoft? Why you could
you want me to go? All right, I'll start, Ian, and if I miss something, you pick it up. All right, so Microsoft. I don't even mean when they had the FAANG thing, I don't even know why Microsoft wouldn't have been part of it, but it's perfect that this is in the Montana. Microsoft core business to business, they kill. Cloud service, they kill. Gaming, they kill. What else?
They have software on 85% of the computers in all of the world. That alone is enough for me.
There's 4 reasons why. That should have, it should have been on it already.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's that for Microsoft. Apple, pretty self-explanatory at this point.
Greatest company ever publicly traded.
Tesla, this is something that is a very volatile situation, very, very volatile CEO. What about Tesla? Why is Tesla a good company to invest in? Or is it a good company to invest in?
Definitely a good company to invest in.
1,000%.
I like, leadership. So for me, when evaluating what to invest in terms of the fundamentals, the first thing I'm looking at is the founder, because the company is going to have the DNA or the habits or traits of the founder in it. Even though Elon is volatile in some areas, you cannot deny that he is a genius for sure. Probably a hybrid of Einstein and Steve Jobs rolled into one. And he's the only person that's been able to make electronic vehicles sexy. Like, we were the only Black men that made invest in sexy for our community. So when you're able to move a market, be a visionary leader, be a part of PayPal Mafia, the secrets that he holds are like unlike any other. And of course, California, declared in 2035, all gas vehicles will be banned. They will go to EV. Therefore, California will be first. I think New York will be second. Texas will be third. Now he's looking at a 30 or 40-year window where if you think electronic vehicle, he is the Mercedes-Benz of the EV market.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a Prius. I want the Phantom that look like a Phantom. Shout to Diddy, right? So if you're thinking electronic vehicle, if you're going to brand or market share recognition, they are number one in that space, and they have no close competitors. Amazing company.
I agree with everything you just said. I probably would put Texas number 2, only because they're rarely building the facilities there. So like when you take the right, exactly. The largest population by state is California. So you make a move like that in California, 2035 sounds like a long way away, but it's not really when you talk about technology. And they're preparing for it, right? If they're the leader of the space, and this is the most populated state in the country, that's a big market, and that'll set the trend for the rest of the states. So yeah, I think first California, then Texas, and then New York will adopt it. And then once those 3 states have it, forget about it.
Everyone else fall in place.
Yeah, and from a technology standpoint too, what they're doing from the solar standpoint, from the batteries, being able to lease that out, I'm sure at some point to other companies. Yeah, Tesla's one of them. You got to have.
It's currently at $270. It's split.
Yeah, 1 to 3.
It split a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So long term, Tesla is something that you believe in, because they're going to have competition. They're going to have competition from Apple. They're going to have competition from a variety of different people.
Yeah. Apple's going to be their biggest competitor if they ever release that car or that truck. That's the only one I'm worried about. GM and Ford, I'm not worried about. They'll be laggards behind. But Apple is the one they should be most worried about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Alphabet, which for anybody that doesn't know, Alphabet is the parent company of Google. So Google is a very impressive company. They own the company that we're on right now, which is YouTube.
Fact.
Very, very big part of their portfolio.
Yes.
You know, they have the number 1 and number 2 search engines because Google is the number 1 search engine. YouTube is the number 2 search engine. So they pretty much control the internet.
And I could argue they have the number 1 entertainment model for content ever created.
The number 1 entertainment model?
Yes.
As in, like, put your content on here for free. We'll figure out what's hot.
And I'll pay you after it produces.
I'll pay you after it's hot.
The opposite of Netflix.
Yeah, we'll pay you after it's hot. We'll take 30% of what we're going to pay you.
No,
yeah,
or they'll frame it as, well, we'll allow us to keep 30% and you have 70, which even if you look for most entertainers, that's a pretty good split. You've never heard any issues with YouTube keeping their publishing forever or rights to the show, or even in some cases like with Amazon, which we'll talk about, you don't see Google remixing shows. They didn't make their own version of Mr. Beast. They let Mr. Beast coexist and just live. So also they are a non-competitor to the creatives that are on that platform, which is amazing. So I think they have the best business model ever for entertainment.
Yeah. I just realized something, and we'll talk about this later on, but Tesla, Google, Nvidia, Amazon, and Apple, for that matter, what do they all have in common?
This is a good trick question. I don't know. You stop me. Go ahead. Let me phone a friend. Let me phone you. What do they have in common?
Within the last, I want to say 18, but definitely in the last 24, just to be safe. But I'll say maybe in the last 18, they all split their stock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was that it? All right, let's have this conversation. Because they all split their stock. Why is it beneficial for a company to split their stock?
I mean, especially now if you are in a recession or money is getting tight. So if you have a company, let's say like Neo, and current price of Neo is at $17.73. Even if you wanted to invest in Apple, let's say if it was like $5.90 per share, historically, you're going to be like, let me get the one at 17. And even if it goes up to 21, I have a chance of making some money. So it's very smart for companies that have major market share, like a true loyal fan base and high volume to split. So the cost basis will be lower. So pension funds can invest in them, hedge funds, and also retail investors and international investors as well. Because at one point, Amazon was so expensive, you wouldn't even think, it was like the cost of a mortgage for one share. Now that it's down, I think people are going to pile into it more. Same for Apple, same for Tesla. I think it's really smart that Elon has done 3 splits in the last, 2 years to keep that price down. So that's the number one competitive reason, is to make the price affordable so more people can pile into it.
Yeah, more affordability, more profitability, more retail investors get involved. It's the number one reason, right? It looks more attractive when Amazon is $131 compared to $3,700.
Absolutely.
Right? Even if you're buying fractional shares, now you literally can buy a share.
Yeah. And we've seen this with Berkshire Hathaway. If we look at Berkshire Hathaway Class A shares, it's $417,940 for one share. Berkshire Hathaway B shares, cheaper version, is $277. So we've seen this before. I think it's a great adjustment for sure. And Apple, if people don't remember, during their last recession was not a fan favorite. It was volatile like Tesla. So to now have a leadership position, you want to keep that base of investors. And people can say that it doesn't matter when the prices go down in the company. We know people are publicly traded companies. It does have a negative effect on the employee base and company morale when your stock is getting beat up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Nvidia. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Nvidia took a hit. It's taking a hit. But it's still a great company. So yes. I'm glad that it's on the list because it's just a great company. So I'll just give you like the 30-second version of it. Why Nvidia? We're talking about a company that is ahead of the game when it comes to AI, when it comes to the metaverse, when it comes to pretty much the future of computing, you talk about Nvidia, what they've been able to do with the graphic processors. I mean, they're ahead of the game, and so obviously computing is something that's not going anywhere, and it's only going to become more of a thing. You have to find a company that is leading the space in that area, and they're definitely that company. Even so much so, and maybe we'll talk about it later, that the U.S. has decided to say, "Hey, we don't want you selling any of these things to our competitors."
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my 30-second on NVIDIA. Love the company. In fact, I like where it's at right now. And I'm going to add it. This is breaking news. I'm going to add, this is going to be another one of my 1,000 shares companies. Yeah. So I'm adding this to my 1,000 share companies with AMD, Apple, and Microsoft. NVIDIA is going to be my next one.
Bam, Jamal, Troy, just in case. So I'm going to get some prices because I don't want it to be in a group chat. Like, why didn't you say nothing? Lowest the boat price for sure would be $61.73. That's like, if you have to sell the house, and that's the price I would get in. For a price that will probably come closer in the next 2 months, 75.53. So Nvidia 75.53 is where I will look to put some capital in. And Nvidia is another company I love. If you want to make your own index, you can put Nvidia and AMD together. Their market cap is like 340 billion. They have 21% of market share currently. I think that will only grow over time. I know they're getting beat up right now, and yeah, we'll talk about it later, but they've had a hell of a run. If you go back, and this is what I always say, invest for the long term. In 2015, even towards the highs, the stock was like at $10. It grew from 2015 to 2022, 21 to $346. So when you look at Monster, Domino's Pizza, T-Mobile, we can talk about. The real secret is the only advantage that we have over hedge funds is that we have to hold for a longer period of time. And if we hold the right ones, we can have explosive growth. I love Nvidia, even though they're having a setback with this issue with the United States and the conflict in China. They're going to be okay. And let's be honest, every recession, if you missed it, you always say, man, I wish I could have went back in time and invested in Apple, Microsoft, anything, right? And held it. And now we are here back in the middle of the storm, and everyone's like, I don't know if I should get it this time because this time may be different. What are the alternatives? Rashad just told you. Yes, you can rent a house, but would it be wiser for him to have put money into EYL University, the development of the merch, the quality of the merchandise to grow, or give your money to a bank so they can profit off of it? Please write this down. Every dollar that you spend is either going to make your family wealthy and free or someone else's. There's no in between. So even when you pay bills, like even the mission of running errands on a Saturday was created by Edward Bernays as a propaganda program to get people to go out in real time every week to buy more when they were not at that time, to increase the sales for retail stores. So everyone running errands on Saturdays, and I'm like, the traffic is crazy. But look at how much of a brilliant campaign that was to get us to actually spend our money. Because spending is actually throwing away the day in which you can retire early and giving it to someone else's family in advance. So I want us to reframe and reshift the way we look at these companies. But in this recession, a company like Nvidia, AMD, TSM, which we talked about, which is going to be a key like political chess move that we have to protect. Be mindful of how you're spending during this recession, but appreciate the blessing that we have to have this knowledge, to have each other, to be able to bounce ideas off of. Because in 2008, it wasn't there. And then to be able to get rich off investing in some of the best companies in the world. And if I've made you money, please put yes. Get your tickets to Market Money's live in New York. And we didn't do that announcement, but maybe we'll talk about it towards the close of the show. Got a couple of surprises.
A few. Yeah, and I said computing, and I actually left out the EV space, right? So Nvidia is big in that, and especially when we talk about China, a lot of the EV companies that are there are using Nvidia's semiconductors to actually use functions inside of the cars. So yeah, Nvidia is one of them companies, man. Put it on your list if it's not.
Amazon.
You go this time.
You want me to go?
I already said it's still my stock of the year. I'm standing on it. I'm standing on that.
Amazon, I think it's no more. When it comes to the retail space and buying, one of my favorite tests is to always ask people, okay, if you have to buy something right now, what company are you going to go to? So for my entrepreneurs, we talked about media and how to grow media a lot last week. This week, I want you to learn how to identify a problem. So for those of you that are a little bit older, like how we are now, at one point, the internet was not reliable to buy things, and then going to a store is really inconvenient. They have created a system and processes where you are able to get your stuff so fast that even if I'm traveling cross country, I'll be like, hey, I need to order lights for a book. I know it'll be at the hotel for me by the time I get there. The reliability of the brand is one of the things that makes them absolutely special. Then Amazon Web Services. Then on top of that, even though they're not one of the top players in the space, they do have a media component to their business. Jeff Bezos is one of the greatest executives to grace America's soil, and he's grown that brand. And here's a good exercise. Put trust in chat if when you buy from Amazon, you trust that your package is going to get there. I've ordered from Walmart.com before, other places. We've all heard the stories of Wish, where you think you'll get a jersey and it looks like something that was made off the Cosby Show that Theo wore, right? So the quality is there. Yeah, and that's funny. And then when you look at historically where the price has been for the stock, let me pull up the stock real quick. It's only grown. And in 2020, I tried to get the lady to come on, but there's a member where her grandmother, no, her aunt has been in Amazon since 2003. So I'm like, what is that growth like, and what does it feel like to hold it? And it was like the best decision she ever made. They've had amazing and incredible drawdowns. But if you go back to 2012, what adjusted for stock splits, they were at $8.49. They're at $127.50 right now. And then here's the great part about investing in companies. When you're buying these companies, you are literally paying people to work for you and make you money while you do nothing. I've said it before. I like Michael Saylor a lot. And currently he's under attack, as I told you he would be. Go back to the Bit Boy episode. Please watch the episode. I think it's one of the top 10 episodes we've ever done. If he would have just had VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft, or an Amazon in that portfolio, he wouldn't have the same pressure that he's currently under. Amazon is run like a machine. And when you look at the competitive landscape, they don't have, Target isn't better. Wish isn't better. Shipt isn't better. Walmart.com isn't better. Alibaba isn't better. They have no competitors around that makes you want to switch. And when you're talking economic moats, trust is the biggest one of all that you want to have. And with the stock splitting, with people looking for savings, looking for convenience, especially if you're a parent, they're going to have another 20 or 30-year run that I think is going to be unprecedented. And they're moving heavier into the medical space as well, which would give them a huge leg up over most of their competitors.
I thought you was going to leave out the medical. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to touch on the media really quickly because it's a big space that they haven't kind of conquered yet, but they're in there, right? So when we talk about media, obviously they have their own shows. They've got live sports. They did the deal with the Major League Baseball, but they're coming into this area that we know a little bit about, and that is in podcasting. So they've seen it, right? They've mastered the audio book with Audible, right? And so now how do we master the next genre of that audio book? And that would be podcasting. So they're stepping into that space. And over the last week, man, they did something very incredible that no one paid attention to. They put out that Lord of the Rings show. It did 25 million views, right? So like in contrast, right?
What did they pay for it?
I got to see the numbers on what they paid for it. HBO Max put out Game of Thrones, right? The new one, right? The
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons.
Yeah.
It debuted with 10 million viewers. And then I think the second one last Sunday did like 10.2, which is great. You're talking about 25 million people watch that Lord of the Rings, that new show on Amazon. So when you're talking about now streaming, like this is,
Jesus.
they really like they can really step into a space because everybody that has Amazon Prime has Amazon on as a streaming service as well. So you're already hooked in because most people who sign up for it are going to do Prime and get the 2-day shipping, but you also get the media service with it. So
can I read off a couple stats?
They're poised.
Quick? Yeah, and the great part on the media side, the big lesson I want everyone to take away, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but your end goal for your brand should to end up being a conglomerate.
Oh, yo, your camera's floating.
Isn't
it just went. Yeah, it stopped now. You good?
So I can't talk with my hands. Listen, like Lord of the Rings, I can no. That's a lot to spend on the show. Can we get a period piece show that we need to do? Because that's a lot of viewership. Shout out to Nvidia. He was walking me through TV numbers. To have 23 million people watching one thing is absolutely amazing. But if you look, even though they have not dominated media yet, look how long it took Apple TV to get good. Like when I first got the Apple TV box, it wasn't much on there. It was clunky, but over time, they developed it, won an Oscar. Now, whenever they develop their version of Breaking Bad or House of Cards or The Walking Dead, and they have millions of people tuned in, great. Same with Amazon. They're moving into the podcast space. I know Charlamagne and Kevin Hart are doing something with them, so they're getting higher listenership. But when they have a hit TV show, and we've been talking about the Super Bowl, and I know some people were like, hey, I saw it in the comments, the NFL will never give up the rights for the Super Bowl to a streaming service. I'm like, what if they offer them $22 billion?
Can you watch the Super Bowl on YouTube TV?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's part. It's they have like streaming rights, like so. YouTube TV, if you pay, I think like the $49 or $79 membership, you can watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And look at this: the share of all online sales in 2021 was 56.7% of all sales, just Amazon.
That's crazy.
Like Shadi, Troy, Mike, man, what we need to do to get 50%, 56% of listenership just to be for us for business. Like when you have that much market share, like when people think to buy something, they're literally thinking your company. I never hear anybody say, hey, I need to go to, and let's be honest, even in 2007 and 2008, going to Sears or even in some cases Home Depot, I was with Tabiti yesterday. He was doing appliance shopping. Shout out to all the good men that, got to go appliance shopping with the wives and stuff like that. Whew, I'm not there yet. But those experiences are not nice. And back in the day when I would watch Blockbuster or go to Blockbuster to get candy, you can literally watch a movie on Amazon, order popcorn the day before, have it, or maybe even have it there the same day, have fun, watch the same amount of shows, and waste less time. And they are responsible for 56.7% of all sales online. That is a legal cartel.
Yeah. And we spoke about the infrastructure. We spoke about infrastructure in terms of like, hey, they're quietly building. Like every 4 years, they just quietly build more factories, right? So now it's not 2-day shipping. Now it's same-day shipping. Now it's, the next thing is like, hey, your medication will be there in 4 hours. So like they're quietly doing these things.
Yeah.
And they're just building infrastructure now.
And then wait till they start delivering, house calls and doctor visits to your house, and they help America get healthier. That's going to be something. And also then they have Whole Foods, so now they can tell you, hey, you went to this doctor. I know the data is supposed to be separated, but we want America to be healthier because one of the biggest expenses that we have is healthcare. If I was at Amazon, I would position it, okay, eat healthier. Here's a plant-based lifestyle that everyone can agree upon. We need to redo the food pyramid because it's not actually what we are supposed to be eating. There was a lot of lobbying that went into that. So now you can get your food from Whole Foods, the vitamins from Amazon, exercise programs on Amazon, what to listen to make your life better, and all the health and wellness books. Just in that healthcare space, they'll be able to dominate, but to have the trust that they do. And then Amazon Web Services on top of it. It's hard to argue why, like
the ad revenue business is on pace to rival Alphabet, if not pass it over the next 2 years.
Those are the one or two. Those are like the Drake and J. Cole right now. Amazon. So I would say Google is Drake and Amazon is J. Cole right now. Both are great to have. If I'm Lucian, I want both. I want everyone to stop competing about which one is better. It's not about which one is better. It is about which one you should have in your portfolio. And the answer is usually both. Same with real estate. You need business, media, real estate. You need long-term investing. You need short-term investing because now in a recession, you need as many revenue streams as possible. I remember when I said maybe 2 years ago, you need 28 streams of revenue. And everyone was like, hey, you're crazy. And now I'm seeing more entrepreneurs be like, man, I'm up to 20. Thank you for telling me, because when this recession hits, if you didn't have 12 or 13, you're in a lot of trouble. So I think Amazon is one of the greatest companies ever created. And also historically, the retail space has been a horrible experience and horrible to invest in. They've done an amazing job.
Yeah. And shout out to Cole. He's on the cover of 2K.
Really?
Yeah, he got the cover of 2K, the Dreamers edition. Shout out to Dreamville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team.
All right.
So that's that. We got them all. Montana.
So which one is better? And put it in chat. You think FAANG is better? FAANG's lineup is Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. Or do you think Montana's is better with Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Google, Nvidia, and Amazon?
Yeah.
Put in chat. Put in chat which one you think is better, FAANG or Montana?
Yeah. So Montana, they obviously removed Netflix. And
the biggest ones are the FAANG has Meta and they have Netflix.
Yeah.
And
those are the two biggest.
Montana has Microsoft, Tesla, and Nvidia, because Google, Amazon, and Apple are in both.
Yep.
So it really comes down to Microsoft, Tesla, and Nvidia versus Meta and Netflix. Who wins? Who wins?
Okay, hold on. We're match. What's the lineup again? Because I'm gonna do my Stan Van Gundy after this.
All right. So
now you're gonna do your Mark Jackson
to make it as easy as possible. We'll just do a 3-on-2 because the other one's already in it. So Microsoft, Tesla, and Nvidia versus Meta and Netflix.
Okay. Microsoft would be LeBron, second year with the Heat. Tesla would be Giannis. Nvidia would be Luka.
I was gonna say Ja. Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Meta. Anthony Davis when he's hurt. Shout out AD. I don't want no problems. Shout out to everybody in Chicago, right? Netflix is John Wall. I love you, John. I don't want no problems. I want no smoke. I love you and your family. Shout out to everybody in H-Town, everybody in DC. Leave me alone. John, I love you. But used to be incredible, but now they're on the down cycle of their career. John Sally, please provide me some protection from John Wall, please. Charles Barkley. So, yes.
Well, there you have it. That sounds like a blowout victory to me.
Yeah, I guess I know what we're going with.
And listen, 2 Tech 2 Index, no stress. Like I keep saying, like investing is not hard. And I was having this conversation with Pierre, like nothing in life is really complicated. We as humans make it complicated because we want to stop the process of walking into greatness. That's why I always say everything about the merchandise you guys create for the fashion line. You could have had 94 more sayings. It's smart to just stick with one that works. Too many SKUs, too many problems. Please put that in chat. VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft. Amazing. On the crypto side, Bitcoin, ADA, Ethereum, pick a dark horse and you're good. The most important thing is to reinvest. Like imagine if Earn Your Leisure changed their company name every week and Red Panda changed the name every week. You wouldn't be able to trust it. So a lot of times when you're trying to find more advice, more insight, a different portfolio, because let's be honest, if you invest in the VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft, as scary as it was, if you invest in Apple, Apple is close to getting back to its all-time high. and Microsoft is setting the world on fire. And we brought you this strategy and mentioned Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia, AMD way before these other analysts did. So,
yeah, and even inside of that, Montana, if you think about when we talk about ETFs, I know we talk about XLK, the technology, Spiders technology ETF. The top two allocations are in Montana, right? So you got Apple and you got Microsoft. And if you talk about XLY, which is it's consumer discretionary, you have Amazon as a top allocation and you got Tesla. So you have the top two in both of those ETFs. So, I mean, if you look at it from that standpoint, I know you're talking about two tech, two indexes, even from the ETF standpoint, that acronym has more of the players in those two ETFs.
Yeah, and I want to give everyone a quick tip. I gave it an InvestFest. For everyone else, I won't give it out everything. But if you go to macrotrends.net and click on stocks, stock research, it'll tell you the top 25 companies. There's no different. Like, I'll go back to the basketball analogy. Ladies, I know you hate when I do it, so I'm going to make it fast. If I'm picking 4 or 5 companies, I want the first 5 people that are the best for my team. I don't want the 64th best player from Iowa, and I think he could develop into, like, whenever you have to pitch something too hard, and this is what I said about fund managers with Bitcoin. Same with Kathy Wood, because when you put so much time into the media, it makes the research time a lot tougher. Same with Kramer at one point. Kramer was the hottest thing on earth when he did his show in 2007 and 2008. But when you're working 12 hours a day on media, it's hard to do the research. You don't need a whole bunch of companies. Please write in chat. I only need 4 amazing companies to bring me an amazing amount of wealth. Great. And same, if you look here, Dream Team, we have core members. If you look at the lineup for Earn Your Leisure, they don't have 85 shows. Shout out to 85 South, right? But there's only a few shows. Great. And then now in the next division, you'll do more things. So please keep it simple. I know it is terrifying and I know it's scary, and I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in every week and trusting me, but I'm giving you this information 4 to 6 months before most hedge funds are. VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft, they're not going away anytime soon. And Apple and Microsoft haven't even got aggressively into the healthcare space, and YouTube or Google, they haven't even aggressively gotten into podcasting yet. Mark my words, in 4 years, Google will be the #1 record label and #1 podcast label on earth. And people don't even know podcast, the name came from having to listen to it on an iPod. So when we're talking deal structure and having a conglomerate, okay, if people are getting deals for 60 million and 50 million for a podcast or show, what do you think Apple is making on the back end? Having good homework question. How many podcasts does Apple currently have on their app that upload every week? So if I told you there's a record label in Africa that has signed 460,000 artists, and it's the #1 place everyone artist wants to be, you're going to be like, let me invest in that. That's what Apple, like Apple's podcast division on its own could be a Fortune 500 company. Spin off iTunes, same thing. They are a mega conglomerate. And the crazy part is, when we've had conglomerates in the past that were either oil or gas based or real estate based, people were not fans of the brand. The fanaticism may not be the same as it was in 2013 or in 2004 or even in the early 90s, but they have a fanatical fan base that still supports them and buys everything that they release. And I'm one of them. And even though I think Android phones are better, the ecosystem is still a hell of a lot better. And camera companies have to be very, very, very careful too. If Apple gets upset enough and they start making ARRI Alexa quality cameras and films, because you can shoot 4K on your phone now. So if they have a podcast division, and then of course video is going to get bigger, what is stopping them from making a camera that can go into your Apple TV or your MacBook to make studio level content? DJI would be in trouble. ARRI would be in trouble. One of the greatest companies on earth. Just invest in the conglomerates.
Do it.
All right, so let's talk about social media. Social media wars are heating up. Google executive reports that 40% of Google searches are being stolen by TikTok. So which are the two social media companies you would invest in for the next 10 years? And let's talk about what is that TikTok stealing Google information? What's that about?
In terms of search. So now when people are looking for information, opposed to going to Google and looking up what's the best restaurant, what's the best pizza place in New York I should go to when I'm in town, people are now going to TikTok and saying, where in the Bronx should I go to get pizza? And shout out to Liz. She explained it. She's like, it's much easier to see a 15-second video about the place and you can feel if the customers are happy versus a Yelp review or text-based. So when we're talking YouTube has a search engine, we have to remember TikTok is a search engine as well. And the virality that they have, I haven't seen anything like it probably since 2005 Facebook. Like you can literally get on TikTok, and if depending on how your algorithm is set up, you can even for me, I'll get on TikTok at night and I'll go through like my little conspiracy channels and right. Did you know that there's other continents hidden behind the ice wall? Right. And then I'll go past for an hour and TikTok like, you know, we love you, but you need to take a screen break. And I'm like, no, I don't want to take a break. I need more info. I haven't done that on Facebook. Kudos to Meta. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to Frederick. Shout out to Alvin. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg. I'll be there soon. I appreciate you. But I have not spent that much time on Facebook in years. Like I got locked out of my Facebook account for 2 months and damn near did not care. If I got locked out of TikTok, I would be calling Chris and anybody I know. I may have to make one of them calls the Keys made to you when he had issues with his passport. I'm like, Shotty, please let the TikTok gods unlock me, right? So whenever they are publicly traded, from an investment standpoint, I would like them. And I like Snap for a swing trade. If I have to pick a second one, I would say that it would be Meta, but I would have to get it at such a deep discount. Maybe at the, let me get a price. I mean, I hate to say it, especially when I'm about to have a meeting with them, but it got to be true. The price that I would love to acquire Facebook at would be like $60.52. That's my low to boat price.
So for TikTok, I mean, ByteDance still owns them. ByteDance owns them.
ByteDance.
Yeah, so Chinese own. So if we're looking to invest in it, you're saying like that would be your two? It would be ByteDance.
Those are the only two to invest in.
By way of having TikTok and then Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's their ticker? Do you know?
ByteDance?
While you're researching that, I'll talk about TikTok. Yeah, it's definitely a great way to find things. And I learned that from my son when he was he like wanted to go to all of these weird places like this snow cone spot in like Coney Island and different burger places in Jersey. I'm like, where you finding this stuff? And it's like TikTok. And you know, they do reviews. I'm sure you've probably seen it. They do like voiceovers, reviews, like, oh, I did this in Philly, best cheesesteak, top 3 cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. And it's actually something that a lot of people trust. You know, it's interesting because they just trust it just because it's on TikTok and it has a lot of views. They don't even know who the source is coming from. It doesn't even have to be a reputable source. It just, if it makes your page, you see it, and you'll just say, okay,
so viral,
why not?
Yeah.
So that aspect is very, very beneficial for TikTok. That I think that they have an advantage over everybody else when it comes to that, because like rooftop spots, and I got put on to a few spots like rooftops and different speakeasies and stuff like that from TikTok.
And STK for the $500 date idea.
Well, I didn't get put on from to STK. I was already familiar with STK, but that is something that could potentially make a TikTok list. Top 5 steakhouses.
Good.
Fire.
STK.
Earn Your Love dropping on Valentine's Day.
Stay tuned.
In the works.
Stay tuned.
In the works.
Just stay tuned alert. It has officially been issued. Stay tuned.
I kept telling you, I'm massive investor, invest in everything.
It's funny until it's not funny. It's funny until it's not. Earn Your Love.
Sidebar, can you talk about the importance of having confidence and immediately execution? Because my thing for my team is like, we got to go from idea to execution within 1 hour. You guys are great at that. Can you talk about how important that is, and then how you see that in other companies, and what makes you invest in them? Because even when Apple, they'll come out with an idea, even the idea of having all these products in one phone, like if we separated these in 2005, and we went to Circuit City or something and got all this, it'd be $40,000 for this phone.
Circuit City
fell apart. But yeah, can you talk about how important it is to go from idea to execution, and then how many ideas are you creating per day?
Potential doesn't mean anything if it's not realized, and that's something that I learned early on, is that everybody has ideas. Everybody can talk about, this is what I want to do, this is what my plans are, but very few people can execute it. And success loves speed. Shout out to Neo, one of the greatest quotes of all time, and it's true. So it's like InvestFest coming with the idea, and then like let's do it immediately. Or whether it's Market Mondays, like let's execute and let's put out Market Mondays. Or whether it's InvestFest Europe, like we didn't have like 2 years to plan it. We had a couple weeks. All right, let's do it. Fashion Week, let's do it. So that's what's going to separate a lot of people, the strong companies from the weak companies, is the execution and the speed of execution. Because while you're waiting to execute, somebody else is going to execute, or somebody else can come up with the idea. Sometimes they'll steal your idea, or sometimes they'll just, some people just have similar ideas. Like it's not like you're the only person in the world with that idea. So being first to market is extremely important. And that's something that, and speaking about it is extremely important as well, saying it. So it's like, when I was consistently saying that I was a fashion icon, after a while,
it's stuck. And you have to live up to it.
They just said it. They just agreed with it. And now we're doing a show at New York Fashion Week. So you'd be surprised what will happen when you just start saying things. Of course, you actually have to like do it, but you don't really get a lot of backlash. Like even when we said we're the king of New York, probably could say that a little bit more. Not really a lot of backlash. Like sometimes I think we're scared to say things because we think that it's going to be so much, it's going to get ridiculed. People's going to look at us. They're going to be saying so crazy stuff, but you'd be surprised, even if people do say stuff, a lot of people will actually agree with you. But they will never agree with you if you never say it. Absolutely. So if I never said I was a fashion icon, if I never said that, we was the biggest, we said we the biggest, and everybody just kind of said, yeah, you're the biggest.
Why not?
And for the people who say, let other people give you your flowers, and that's even interesting because Kanye's been saying that for 12 years. And people are like, I'm gonna give you your flowers and never bring no real flowers. But a person will not give you that position or title. Please write that down. While you're building your business, like as a African-American man from East Chicago, Indiana, no one would have, and with my demeanor and particular set of attitude and attributes, whatever said, hey, Ian's the master investor. I had to even teach people how to think about me. And then the episode when Mark Cuban was on, the greatest investor of this era, it's not a shot to anybody. I talk to Trap about this all the time. I'm like, dog, I know you think you way doper than me on the fundamental. Like, that was just a calling card for me because my name is so boring. Shout out to my mom because she wanted to make sure I got a good job when I got older, right? Originally, my mom was gonna name me Isaiah. Funny story. And then my dad was like, if you name him Isaiah, let Isaiah take care of him. Shout out to my dad. That's legendary. The original
that's all.
Andrew Tate. You know what I mean? But it's really important to teach people how to think of you. And even though Apple's a luxury brand, they don't say that. So they have more, because there's a limit on how many customers you can have inside of a luxury brand. But they really reframe with the Mac versus PC, how to look at Microsoft and indie Windows products. And at the time, it was like, okay, acceptable to have Windows. Now it's like, if you have a Windows computer or a computer that's not Mac, it's looked at as lame, and then it's spread over into the phone. So be careful in how you target your customer base, but give yourself a title that you have to live up to. That's why, like, when you do the biggest, the fashion icon, same with keys, you're like, hey, I'm a fashion icon. Don't let anyone box you, and you have to train people how to think about you. And Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tesla has all done that.
You got to believe it too. You have to believe it. Like I 1000% believe. Like when he says these things, I'm like, yeah, I know he believes it. That's why they're like, yo, you never react when he says these things. I'm like, no, because he really believes that, bro. Like we really believe in the things that we saying, and we have the fearlessness. Like
right now, look at the fashion icon. Look, he got the smoldering look to the right, like he taking a photo.
Focus in, zoom in here.
Come on, do it again, Shotty. See,
notice the wrist. Look at the wrist. It's just a level of fearlessness. Like I said that before. Like we are always in fearlessness, and we're always in pursuit of greatness. And so we do things, and it's like, all right, let's do it. Let's execute on it. Let's make it great. And it's like, boom. While people are still trying to figure out what happened the last time, we already moved on to the next thing to be great with.
But one thing. My bad.
Oh, damn, I'm about to give you a whole my Emmy speech,
flowers,
bro.
Yeah.
But nah. But it is, man. And it's one of those things like we never rest on our laurels, because it's like, all right, we noticed something else. Let's try something new. And like that just goes back to, like, I remember Max Maxwell came and he told us, like, look, that jumping off the porch is the key. Like y'all really are doing this in a dining room, like with cameras, and you got lights flickering. You don't care. You just care about the value you're gonna add. And it's not that we didn't care. It's just like, yo, we're gonna do it because nobody's doing it, and this is what we want to do. We're not looking like, hey, we're gonna do this, and what's the backlash gonna be, or what are people gonna say? People are gonna just have to live with it because we're not gonna stop.
Can you give me the real answer? How many people have you passed up in your careers? Shot, I'm gonna tone it down, don't worry. By simply executing over the last 2 years, and people who should be ahead of you are not now because they haven't been consistent.
I really don't know, because I never really looked too much at the landscape. I just worked, and I feel like I honestly always felt that, we were special. I always felt I was special my whole entire life. And I talked to 19 Keys, and I feel that we had something that we talked about that was very interesting. And he said, like, Black men don't have big enough egos. And that could be something that can catch people by surprise, because they're like, oh, you got rappers and everybody's talking. But that's, if you really think about it and you look at historical data and information, like we went to Egypt and we saw, like, the Valley of the Kings. You got to have a very strong self-esteem and very strong ego to build a monument of yourself while you're still living. Think about that. Nobody has really done that in thousands of years. Like, I don't know anybody that's actually built a statue of themselves while they're still living.
I mean, let's get on that.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
if not me, who?
Can we call this Gary in the Indiana legislation?
But everybody looks at Melton. So everybody looks to ancient Egypt and they want to say, like, oh, they marvel at its accomplishments, but you have to take all sides of it, right? You have to understand that, these people had tremendous egos to have statues and cities and monuments, and they spent half of their time on Earth building their afterlife palace, which we saw the underground tombs. You also have to deal with, nobody wants to have cheap or free labor, which, I mean, thousands of people built that for minimal amount of money, if any money, because they actually thought that these people were living gods on Earth. So, I mean, that's a deeper conversation, but when you really start to think about it, and it's like, when you look at people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like, these people, their imagination and their ego is tremendously high. You got to have a tremendous amount of ego to say you're going to colonize Mars.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
And for everyone listening, and this reference point by ego, he means belief in self, not just like brash, arrogant, braggadocious.
Yeah. So I think that that's something that, it's a thin line, but yeah, when you see people talking about they want to colonize other planets, when you see people saying that, they want to, live in outer space and they want to solve the entire world's hunger crisis, that takes a lot of confidence in yourself to say that I'm one person and I can eradicate hunger on Earth for billions of people. Like, these are things that, our goal is to try to have an apartment to live in. Because of the situation that we've been in for thousands of years, our aspirations, our goals, and how we feel about ourselves is a lot lower. And this is why we're not accomplishing things on a much higher level. So you should be speaking at the highest level. And that's why I love Kanye, because it's like, no matter what you think about him, whether you agree or whether you don't agree, he never compromised his belief in himself. And everything that he really said he was going to do, he actually did.
He's done it. I mean, being from East Chicago, Indiana, I remember when his single first got played on Power 92. At the time, I don't think Kanye was the top 15 rapper, top 20 in Chicago. He was saying, I'm going to be bigger than Michael Jackson back then. So to see that happen, like if you think about it, historically for business, imagine if I told you Steve Jobs had a #1 album, 4 classics, had a dope fashion line, and dominated tech. Kanye has done that. So when he's saying, I am Walt Disney, I do not know another person that has had a historical music career, one of the best producers of all time, probably top 50 in rap, most creative. You also have a fashion line that has dominated the footwear space, which is really tough to do. At Nike and Adidas, now at Gap. Brings the value of these companies up 15x. Helps Kim go from perceived porn girl to fashion icon. He is now a fashion icon and set his children up. That's a hell of a fucking legacy.
Created his own school.
I mean, he's done. He's and just for clarification, so ego. I actually googled ego. So the definition is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So a lot of times we have misconceptions about words. Yes. Ego is not necessarily. It's not a bad thing. You can make it a bad thing, but the definition of it is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So that's really like. Yeah, that's not even something that you can even take bad or good. It's just, it is what it is. So to say you should have a higher ego or a bigger ego, you should have a bigger self-esteem, a bigger sense of self-importance. That's the only way to really create big things that's going to change the world. Is to you only change the world if you have a big self-esteem, big self-importance, because if not, you don't think that you're even important enough to affect the world. So like, even when I went on a Breakfast Club 2 years ago, and I told Envy to his face, I said, we're going to go all over the world. And they just looked at me. They didn't say anything. They didn't say yes or no, but they looked at me. I don't know what they thought, but InvestFest Europe is a manifestation of that. So I really, truly believe that. So it's like, I feel like as Black men and Black women, but definitely Black men, our self-esteem has been, so even when you see people that you think are having an ego, that's not really nothing really. Like you talking about a gold chain, or you talking about a Bugatti, that's not something that's really going to change the world. Like an ego is actually, like I said, these people was actually building 100-foot statues of themselves while they're still living.
Yeah, I think maybe the confusion might be people are confusing ego with narcissism. Like those two things it feels like people are walking down that line when they're like, oh no, he just has a high self-belief himself, or there's the narcissist.
Well, there's a thin line between narcissists. People say Kanye West is a narcissist.
Kanye put Adidas on the clock. They're on the clock right now.
I mean, it's a thin line between a narcissist. Yeah. You got to be a little off to be special. I don't think anybody that's special is regular. Your brain has to be a little different than an average person.
I'm going to say, is he off? It's a question I pose all the time when talking to the team, talking to Christy. Is he off, or how we were trained growing up was wrong? And he is a reflection of what he's learned from Bezos, Steve Jobs, Jay, Lucian Grange, Lior, Dame over time. And I
think he's a reflection of what he's learned more than that he's off. Because even now, like
when I say off,
I'm saying the rant, not even rant, but the situation he's in now. I'm not sure if y'all been following, but like he's as Adidas. Like, look, they're on the clock. He put all their CEOs up there, the people in charge of the company. And
we talked about it last week.
Yeah, Instagram took it all down, but it was like his thing is like, look, y'all can't create my brand without me being part of it. And so and
they've been actively doing it.
And they've been actively doing it and making replicas of the things that he's created. So yeah, there is going to be frustration with that. And it's what he's learned. He knows the business, right? He's just not, allegedly they try to offer him $1 billion to buy him out of the Easy brand. He's like, this doesn't even make any sense. I created this brand. And so he's learned these things because he's been around entrepreneurs, like you said,
it's
like
been
Dave.
replicated in China.
Exactly. So even the situation with Gap now, so like all these companies, he's put them all on the line. He's put like Gap on the line. He's put Adidas on the line. Like, y'all not just going to create without me. If I'm the person that's bringing the value to the company, right? He's, I think, 75% of Adidas online sales, like 75% of online sales.
Okay, now he has the greater market share than Amazon has of online retail. That's crazy.
But you cut out.
I think they put you in the matrix.
Your audio cut out.
Am I here?
Oh, you back on. But okay. What I was saying too is even the word off, like I said, it's very important. Language is extremely important. And it's important how we look at language. I don't look at off as being a bad thing. I'm off. Like off is like when I look at a straight path. If you off that path, then you're different than most people. So I don't think that that's bad. Like I had really one job my whole life. It wasn't really a job. That's why I never say I worked in Target when I was in college.
Yo, you was at the community center working. They don't do that.
But I'm just saying that's
part
a camp.
of the community.
But I'm saying Ian left.
Dunlap is gone.
But when
building a statue.
When I worked at Target, for 3 days, and
that's a fact.
And I got fired after 3 days. But the reason why I got fired, I was going on 3-hour lunch breaks. I was acting like I ran. Yeah. No, they fired me. They told me it wasn't gonna work out. But the bottom line is that I
never thought you was gonna tell this story. All right, go ahead.
Of course, I was off. I was 19 years old, working in Target, going on 3-hour lunch breaks, coming in whenever I wanted, leaving, not folding shirts, because I never looked at it like I was working there. I looked at it like I'm here. So that's not normal. That's off. That's why it didn't work out for me. That's why none of these sports teams that I was ever on really worked out for me, because I was off.
Don't do that, man.
It's okay to be off.
Not even 10th grade, the team worked out for you.
It's okay to be off. I'm off. Ian's off. A lot of people are off.
Offset.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to be off. It's okay to be off.
I mean, let's take Kanye's deal, and I know we didn't write this down as a talking point, but even with the Adidas deal, if you are, and the point I was saying before I got cut off, if you are driving 75% of all on, that was a stat you said, right, Troy? 75%.
Yeah, I believe like 75, something ridiculous, 75% or 70% of online sales.
And then now they're telling you, well, and I heard this, shout out to Corey and Storm, and I heard this on Joe podcast. They were telling him, well, we don't have enough resources to do your Yeezys, but what we're going to do is going to get a junior designer to remix your Yeezy. And it's like, if I brought all this value here, why would you do that? Number one, please, and I was with Tabiti yesterday, I want to give him credit. You need to negotiate for any market cap increases that you get a percentage of those gains. Number two, a lot of times, even when I rant, it is not out of narcissism or ego, it is to express value. So if he's driving all these sales to Adidas, and at the time, Adidas was dead. Nobody was buying the Derrick Rose shoes. I had them. No one else was buying them. And then Y3, amazing. He surpassed them and almost made Adidas a threat to Nike and brought the value of Gap up when most people were not wearing Gap. And now you want to tell me you're going to cut me out of my deal so you can make my shoe. That would be like if somebody made a Market Monday spinoff and then didn't include me in. I'm like, what are you doing? You cannot do certain things. So please negotiate and have those conditions in your deal and contracts in advance. And going back to the ego thing, I think by design, we are told not to be confident because if we as Black men are confident, we tend to stay in family and relationship longer. Our kids have a direct benefit from us being in the household. So when the father's in the house, kids graduate at a higher rate. They have a lot more confidence. Like when I see you guys as kids, you guys see Xander, the joy that they have is a reflection of the stability of a household and parents that love them. So if I tell you not to be egotistical or believe in yourself, and you think less of yourself, you will do less, will provide less, and it degrades the family structure. That's why for me, being in marketing first, if you study Edward Bernays, who is relatives of Sigmund Freud, who created the entire smoking is sexy campaign and the eggs and bacon in the morning, because technically you don't even eat breakfast, right? You're not even supposed to eat technically until afternoon. But if you can condition a people to feel a certain way about themselves, then now you're able to make sure that they earn less, spend more. Now we're going to put you in bad housing projects. Now we're going to send you to jail. And the things that will turn around us getting higher prison sentences, being taken advantage of during the mortgage crisis of 2007 is money to lobby. So and I always say it, and I say it again for my Christians, if you are a child of God and you believe the same God that put up the sun, moon, stars, mountains, created you out of that same ethos, how can you not believe in yourself?
Yeah.
We're the only community that gets told not to believe in ourselves. It's crazy.
You become very dangerous when you start breaking the rules of life. Not like breaking the rules as far as like breaking the law, but breaking the rules of life. And it's like you said, like breakfast, that whole thing it was made to support the dairy industry and the farmers. School is built as a pipeline to, working a 9-to-5 job. Like all that type of stuff. Like I was just having this conversation with my barber, and I was telling him, like, I'm lucky because I went to college and I was an American Studies major for the first 2 years because I just wanted to be eligible. I wanted to take the easiest pathway to get a degree. And then I transferred, and they didn't have American Studies, and I took communications. I said, what's the easiest path to get a degree? Communications. Sign me up. I didn't care because I knew that it wasn't gonna matter. Never looked at it like I never truly, honestly, never.
Interesting.
I
didn't know you were a communication major.
Yeah,
that's interesting. For you to be in broadcasting now, that's.
But it
exactly.
it had nothing to do with it though. Some people might think that, but trust me, not the communications degree is just the easy path to get a degree. But I honestly, truly believe in my soul that I would never have to rely on my college degree, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I went to school for something completely different. I went to be a physical therapist and realized I hated science. And I was just like, wait, what am I doing here? Like, I hate science. Kinesiology is not my thing. Physics 2 is not my thing. Chem 2 is not my thing. And I was like, wait, I got to find out what I'm good at. And I'm good at working with kids and I love sports. So like, that's how it came into phys ed, which led me. So I know what you're saying, but my thing is like every step for me has led me to the next step. And so being a teacher, I never wanted to be in a classroom. I wanted to be through phys ed. I wanted to teach kids sports. Being in a classroom helped me create structure to create lesson plans.
Yes.
It had me thinking like, wait,
that's amazing.
This is bigger. This is big. I can now write a lesson. I could do it on any subject. So when the summer program comes around, it's like, oh, wait, we can write lessons. Yo, let's do this. Let's teach this. And so that opened it up. So like, I know your route is different, but like and maybe there's people who have your route, and there's some people that probably has mine as well. But it's like, I feel like every step of the way prepared me for the next step, right? Because like you said, like right now, people will look at us as like, yo, we're in media, obviously, we're in broadcasting, right? We're in journalism. Yeah, like my phys ed degree doesn't help me get here to that point, but every step along the way, in a way, has helped get to this point. Right. By degree, it doesn't make sense, but by steps, it does.
But if you look at it as a business model, and at some point, I mean, we're definitely, and I said last week, the student loan bubble is going to be like the biggest thing to erode. It's going to be like the final nails in the coffin for America as a country, becoming a second world country. And so I wasn't upset about the loan forgiveness. I want to be clear about that. But when you cannot write off that debt because that was lobbied for, just look at it as a business model. You pay anywhere $10,000 to $100,000 a year to go to school. You are not guaranteed job placement upon exiting. And if you leave, as long as you pay your tuition, no one really cares. And you have no ROI for what you're going to get if the college business model does not change. I really think that the model of colleges are going to die. Also, if we look at endowment, so if we look at like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton. I know University of Texas is getting big. Listen, I mean, the endowment value went from 127.2 billion to 171 billion in 1 year. So now you have to look at these colleges like they're hedge funds. So even if you don't have family that's went to college, for everyone that's been like a first generation student going to college, even knowing what to ask and what career path to go down, you're going to get taken advantage of if you don't know the right questions to ask. So that's why I tell all parents that have kids, and if they haven't been to college, you have to be incredibly active to know the business of college to get the most out of it. For me, I love Indiana University. The biggest thing for me that I got from it was the connections.
Well, that's crazy that you say that, because I just had this conversation. I told you that was with Joe Foy, who's our guidance counselor in high school. And I literally just had this conversation with him an hour ago, and I was telling him, and he was telling me, and he was like, I'm like, people aren't educated on how to get educated. And I think that, before you go to college, you should sit down with somebody and you should look at what you're majoring in and what's the average salary in that. Because like I said, for me personally, a liberal arts degree from a mid-level state school is not something that's going to be beneficial in life. It's not. A communications degree from, like I said, a mid-level state school is not something that you're going to be extremely successful in the workforce. It's not going to happen. Luckily for me, I didn't care, but that's a rare situation. If you're going to rely on your college degree, you should at least put yourself in a situation where you're picking the right major, and you should also be picking a school that's going to be beneficial and not going to, cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So maybe you go to state school, maybe you go to junior college, because ultimately, if you're getting a master's degree, the master's is the only thing that matters anyway. But I don't know. People, they always don't. A lot of people don't like when I start talking about education, because they're like, "Well, you went to college and da 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 da." I'm not anti-college. I think it's beneficial. It didn't hurt me, but I didn't pay for college either. So you got to look at me like a different situation. I have a full sports scholarship, so I didn't pay for college. So of course I can afford to do things a little differently because I wasn't paying for it. And another thing is, I always knew that I wasn't going to use my college degree. So I didn't really care. I was just trying to get through as quick as possible. I graduated in 3.5 years, and I took the easiest route possible, and it worked out. That's not normal. That's not normal. And that's not something that's advisable. I wouldn't advise people to do that, because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be, you're not going to have the same pathway that I have. And you could, potentially hurt yourself. Most people that did what I do are hurting right now because they have liberal arts degrees. If you have a liberal arts degree, sociology, I'm sorry. If you have a sociology degree, a psychology degree, a communications degree, a histories degree, an arts degree, I'm sorry. It's not gonna be beneficial for you. I promise you, it's not gonna. If you don't have a master's degree after that, and even if you have a master's degree,
that's key.
if you have an undergraduate degree in any of those degrees, I promise you, it's an 80% chance that it's not going to be beneficial
unless you continue education.
I just said if you have,
we got to.
But even if you have a master's degree, a lot of masters, you got a master's degree in sociology.
Doesn't guarantee
what are you going to do with a master's degree in sociology?
Yeah, that's what I said. It doesn't guarantee anything. Psychology, obviously, you can go into there's different fields, but you still got to go to grad school.
That's a whole different thing.
You could be a school psychologist.
School psychologist.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
That's a career for somebody.
How is it working out?
I don't know. I'm not in the field, but I know it's a career. You know what I'm saying? So like, there are professions.
We can't belittle the career.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't want to do that because there's
it's not. It's not about belittling.
I'm just saying there's people who their livelihood.
If they was mad about the AB thing, they're gonna be mad about that. Trust me.
There's people that have sociology degrees.
Yeah.
That work in sociology programs and community centers, and it's an important, but it's not something that 9 times out of 10 you're going to be struggling. If you want to struggle financially, then that's a pathway to take. It's okay. If you want to be a librarian in today's world where libraries are closing and there's really no need for libraries at a certain point, it's a noble job. Is it advisable? Probably not. Well, sometimes we just gotta be honest.
not going to work is relative, right? Because like somebody's not going to work is not going to be yours, right? So like somebody who is a sociology major, who is a social worker, they may have married a spouse who has taken care of them financially, or vice versa, right? So like we can't say not going to work. We're going to say
I said 80% chance.
I would probably use the language around financially. It won't be the highest paying. It won't be the most financially beneficial.
Let's not stay on this for too long. But
let's do it.
I'm only speaking from firsthand experience, because I love everybody that listens, and I want to just be beneficial. So this isn't a hypothetical situation. I'm speaking from my personal experience, and I'm speaking from my friends and my family that I see. Most people that I know personally, and I know a lot of people personally from my neighborhood friend that have college degrees. Most of them are in liberal arts. Most of them, it hasn't worked out financially. They're kind of struggling financially. That's just that's a fact, especially if you're Black. I'm trying to help people avoid a trap. This is a trap. You don't know, you're uneducated, and you're majoring in majors. What Kanye said, your major that you major ain't gonna make no money.
The trap.
Of course, we can have all kinds of hypothetical, what if this, what if that, but 9 times out of 10, most people, especially Black people, are majoring in majors that are not going to make money. They're going to schools that they can't afford to go to. They're putting themselves in tremendous financial debt, and they're getting college degrees from schools and from majors that's not going to advance their future. This is one of the reasons why the wealth gap is the way that it is. It's not, we're going to college, especially Black women, they're going to college at higher rates than any other people. So if education was the key, then you would think that the wealth gap would be closed a lot quicker. It's not like we're not getting educated. We're getting educated, but we're still not making any money. Why? We're not making any money because the job opportunities, we're not starting enough businesses, the businesses are not succeeding, and we're already putting ourselves in tremendous financial stress by taking out too many student loans and going to schools that we can't afford. So we can kind of talk around the problem to try to be nice to people, and that's something that, you know, we could potentially do. But I don't know if that's going to be beneficial, because right now we're in a very dire situation. And the only way to get out of dire situations is to take extreme measures and to do things extremely different than what you're currently doing. So if you want to continue the path that we're on, then everybody can continue to do the same things. But I promise you, it's not going to work, because it hasn't worked. That's it.
My final points. Here's the 3 ways you can get rich while using education to your benefit. So number 1, please write this down. What is the big goal or problem that you're going to solve that at least 1.5 billion people need fixed for them? Number 2, we are in a new era of education. So I totally agree, and I've been feeling like this since the early 2000s. That's why, like, most people are not inspired subconsciously to go to school or actively participate. And parents, please listen in, because it's one of the things that I share and do with Xander. If you don't think that what you're learning is going to have an impact in your life, why invest in it? But you're learning the systems of how to learn things. So Mr. Bentley, God rest his soul, U.S. history teacher at Bishop Noel my junior year, hated U.S. history, but he loved, so like, you think Kramer's loud? He's 5 times louder than Kramer. I'm like, hey, I hate U.S. history. How do I get a or a B out of this class? He's like, easy formula, Dunlap. Read the notes that you take from class every day, 7 days a week, and go read 1 chapter a day on the subject. And if you do that, I promise you, you are average out to having a B. In terms of going back to investing, technology stocks. Paid college tuition has gotten too high. There's going to be, and you see it now with Google and Apple allowing certificates, at some point in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see a university format online where Google, Apple, or Amazon has a full university for 1 or 2 years. And when you pass, that will create their own pipeline for new employees in this era. So in every recession, every depression, opportunities pop up. So in 2007, all the Phoenix universities popped up, and then those panned out to not be worth as what they were promised to be. But if Apple and Google or either or, makes a college or university that teaches you the things that you need to know for this era, and they streamline it, look how much more of a workforce they'll have that will drive up their economy and drive up the stock price. And for those of you that have kids going to college, there's only a few areas they should be looking into: science, technology, engineering. Write this one down. How to build it, like empire building. So B school is good, but you need to find a mentor that has ran or worked at a conglomerate to understand how those work. Because even going to B school, it doesn't give you a significant advantage. It teaches you how to work inside the ecosystem of a corporation, not how to build it. Of course, math and medicine. Anything outside, and then you can add finance to the end of that. So it can be STEAM F or whatever. So science, technology, engineering, empire building,
finance, yeah.
math, medical, and finance. Those are the only areas that your child should go to college for. Anything else will be a waste. And I know some people are going to be like, hey, what about coding? Coding is good. It's something that we need to learn. But parents, please teach your kids this from the ages of 7 to 15. And I hate to say it, but if we go through another, they officially announced recession in 2023. We're going to have another pullback probably around 27 if you look at the Benner cycle. Around 34, we'll have another one. It is not a corporation's job to employ you or take care of your family. That is your job. Our kids, Black and brown kids, they need all the skill sets of a 25-year-old by the time they walk into college.
Okay.
I know it's going to sound crazy, but if not, we are going to be underdeveloped economically. We're going to be underfinanced. And the same thing what Kanye was saying about the venture capital market, and shout out to Ishmaeli. Like even if you look in the VC space, Black founders, even like Calendly, a great company that I use, they haven't received the same funding that like a WeWork or any Uber has received. Like we have to learn how to build a lot faster since we are already behind. So
sure. I think that's the key right there. I'm glad that you brought that part up about corporations finding inside, like they're hiring and then they're teaching, right? Because one of the things about school, and like obviously I went to school, obviously went to grad school, but it's amount of time. Like I always felt like I could have did this in like a year, 2 years. I could have been teaching it right out of my sophomore year of college. So it's about the amount of time and specific skill set that you have. And so we could hone in on the skills. And I think that starts even earlier, right? Like even in that high school, that's why I think high schools just needs to be education reform. If we could find a skill set or maybe 2 or 3 skill sets and have kids work on those skill sets. And by the time they get to school, now it's a more concerted effort of like, yo, this is what I'm here for. I'm not here for anything else, right? And get certifications rather than having degrees, because degrees mean nothing, right? Can I do the job, right? I left with an education degree. They didn't say like, yo, you can teach. I went to grad school. I'm like, wait, I can't. I'm teaching in the city. I can't use anything that I learned in grad school. This is a totally different environment. So I'm learning on the job, which is like the most beneficial thing. Like when they put you in front of something, how will you respond? And so like learning skills and teaching skills, and I guess certifications with inside of an organization or creating your own organization, you could do both. I think that probably is like, that encompasses everything, right? If I'm doing it on my own while I'm learning from a space and I'm getting certified to do it, it allows me to actually critically think and now create on my own as well.
Yeah, and I know people clown me like online for the, yo, you got to read 300 pages a day. And, you know, it's funny when I see like that, or 100 pages a day, but it's like, okay, great. Everyone always asks me, I just did David Shan's podcast the other day, and he was like, how did you learn this stuff? I'm like, reading and watching the market all day. Like Trevor shouted to even backstage, Market Mondays Live, Investor. Before I'm going, I'm looking at the charts the entire time. So for my parents, I am begging you, if you do not teach your kid some of these skill sets, because everyone is a corporation from the moment you're born. And here's how you know how. As soon as you are born, your social security number is leveraged on the stock market for liquidity for the United States of America. So whether you choose to be in business or not, and I said at InvestFest, everyone trades time for money. And as soon as you're born, you are a business owner. Harvard University's endowment is currently at $42 billion right now. To give a comparison, Ford's annual revenue is 127. Harvard is in one location. Ford is worldwide. So to show you how big of a business the education space is, that should give you some context. But yeah, we definitely need education reform, but it has to happen inside of our houses, our communities, because it's not the job of the government to do it. And to be very honest, they're in bed with the colleges as well. That's why they lobby so hard, so you can't write that debt off. And that's why I say, like, even when people are asking for complete loan forgiveness, that would be the equivalent of you asking Bank of America or JP Morgan to wipe away your mortgage just because. College is a revenue driver for it, and it's the only one that you cannot discharge. Please be careful. Learn, please study, follow the blueprints. Come to Market Mondays Live, come to Invest Fest Euro. And this is why it's so important that we teach these lessons to you guys early, because I want us to catch up and eventually close that racial wealth gap, even though we're getting down to the last deadline. We may have 2 or 3 more years before it's over with.
Final call.
Hove did that. So hopefully you have to
can we just say one more question quickly?
Yeah.
The S&P 500 is down 17% in the first 169 trading days of 2022, the worst fourth start in history. What should we do to prepare to take advantage of this, or are we doomed? And then we could end with that.
Man, time went by so fast. I miss y'all. I've enjoyed our conversation today. I want to keep going. Number one, please write this down. Pick the 4 companies that you want to invest in for a lifetime. So I've told you my 4: VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft. If Apple ever falls number 1, just pick number 1 and number 2. Number 2, you have to learn how to swing trade. So that either lasts for a 90-day period, 30 days, 120 days. You have to have money moving for you regardless of how the market goes. Because let's be honest, if you went to Invest Fest last year or this year, I've given you the targets. Troy's hit some big targets. I know Bam has hit some, Rashad has hit some, Trap has hit some. Your job as an investor is to be able to make money in every market. Whether the market is up or down, if you go back to episode 70, I gave you this blueprint. Whether the market is up or down, you should make a lot of money. And then when the market is down, you should make even more. Please write in chat, volatility is your friend. And then number 3, the final infinity stone of the Holy Trinity. You need to learn how to short-term invest. So if the Dow falls 523 points, that's a target you can write down. You need to know how to ride that down and take advantage of it. If I can be very honest, this entire season, the market has been dropping. I've hated it in my long-term account, but I loved it on the trading side. I've had some of my best days in the last 5 years, this year, with consistent falling. Shout out to all the Forex traders. Shout out to everyone that's trading crypto. If you're shorting to the downside right now, you're making a killing. So like hypothetically, if you trade 15 contracts, which cost $500 a piece in the futures market, and you get 523 points in one day, you make $39,225. I don't know about everyone else. Is it not worth learning, putting time into the market to learn how to do that and be happy when the market falls? Or do you want to leave it up to someone else and hope that if you get a African-American studies degree that you'll be able to make the money that you want? Shout out to everybody that had African-American studies. Shout out to IU.
Please.
But they told me when I came in, like, don't do that. Like, I know you Black, but you don't even like African-American studies that much to even want to go down that path. Don't do it. My job is to guide you, right? Down the right path. I love it, people. But even with that, it's like, okay, great. Why are we not taught the history? And even going back to Egypt, and Neil deGrasse Tyson said this, like, our people were so amazing that we created pyramids, buildings, sphinx, and then when they asked how it's constructed, because it can't be duplicated, they're like, the aliens did it. E.T. came from 7 light years away and constructed this, but never constructed it anywhere else. There's a lot of, going back to the ego or legacy, those statues were erected. Pause. To all my New York people.
No, we got you.
Thank you.
Whoa.
To show legacy and to solidify so your history is not erased. I want you to put in chat, what is your history going to be to your family? What is your history going to be? And now in this recession, even though it's tough, and don't get me wrong, I hate it every morning when I see people are panicking and there's a lot of fear out there. But I am really damn proud that from 2008 through now, I've been so dedicated with this. And same with them. I feel like you guys have had Earn Your Leisure for 9 years. Tracks you've gotten. I've seen you guys pass a lot, and I'll listen to podcasts probably since 2010 religiously. You guys pass up a lot of, and it's people that I love, like gotten hotter than Lewis Howes and John Lee Dumas. There's a lot of people, especially being Black, where it was like, let's be real, 4 years ago, it was like, okay, any Black dudes hosting any Black, y'all better be urban as hell, because you're not going to hit top 50 on them charts. Talking to Tabiti, he like, hey, do this, love the team. Like, even for Market Mondays, we haven't even built a set yet for Market Mondays. Or national PR, national ad. Shout out Ernest, we're gonna make something happen. But to see the growth and just impact of how many people we've helped, and that's why I always want to tell the audience, thank you. But I don't know an investing show that has made its people as much money as the show have for free. We got to stay locked in. So just continue to invest long term. If you don't like the 4 picks that I gave, find your 4. Now, as an investor, let me give you one of my favorite questions I always ask myself to get an edge. What is the problem in the market that I see? And what collection of companies can I put together that will give me a return that no one else will have? So when I created when I was with Trap, he was like, Ian created that formula. So if you buy 2 Tech 2 Index, it's impossible for you to lose money. Yes, that's why I created it. But if you have your own formula, or if you want to mix 4 crypto and 4 stocks, make your own formula. But you need a tried and true formula that you're going to stick with for a 10-year period. In this recession, what to do to take advantage of it? Be happy that we're coming off these highs. Be happy that inflation is going a little bit higher as an investor, so you can get some of the companies at amazing prices. And if I made you yet money, please put yes in chat. I need to get some yes in chat shirts.
Put yes in chat.
Yes in chat.
African American Studies.
Shout out to all my communications and liberal arts majors.
Yes, I'm real fast.
I'm with you.
I am you.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
King
I am you sound like a college.
I was trying to think of the ruler of the time, King Ramsey. So everywhere we went, we kept seeing King Ramsey II.
Well, they said that he was the greatest king. Pharaoh. He also had 82 wives. That's a different conversation.
That's another.
That's a different show. That's a different show.
Earned everything earned.
He was the greatest king.
Yeah.
Solomon, they said, had 700 wives.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. King Ramsey II. Do you research
like
on
mathematically?
Just throwing it out there.
$500 date.
Everything earned, ladies and gentlemen.
But they said his favorite wife was Cleopatra, I believe, right?
Ramsey?
Or Nefertiti. I believe. I believe they said that was his favorite wife was Nefertiti, I believe. I believe so. Very Egypt was a very good trip.
Just education on top of education, and then you get to see history in front of you, and you can realize how much has been stolen from this history. It's just one of those moments in life that I encourage everybody, if you haven't been, please go visit the pyramids of Giza, go visit the Valley of the Kings. It's one of those life-changing moments.
But also, like I said, I had to think about this, but I don't know anybody that's ever built a statue of themselves while they're still living. I've never seen that in modern time. But what they're doing now, what and Jalen Rose said, when people give charity 9 times out of 10, it's not really that they're giving charity because they genuinely, especially on a high level, that they really care about something, but it's more self-fulfillment. So now when you see wings of hospitals named after a person, when you see a library named after a person, when you see a school named after a person, that's like the modern day statue, if you really think about it. Because it's like, if you could have a whole wing in Harvard named after yourself while you're still alive, that's impressive. If you can have a whole, opera house named after yourself because you gave it $20 million, that's like the new way of actually erecting statues of yourself.
It's like when they give presidents to libraries.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's become like the new statue. But it would be interesting if somebody actually built a statue of themselves while they're still alive to see the feedback that it would get. You gonna do it?
I'm gonna get a lot of flack. I'm gonna get a lot of flack, but I'm gonna love it.
Where's it? Where you gonna put it though? Like what part of the world?
East Chicago, Indiana.
Yeah, I got put in Chicago, and then maybe
Hometown?
like every month, it'd be like a little giveaway bag out there. You go out there and get some money.
Well, I think our high school. I was telling shout out to my guy Jamal on the school board. Our high school's name is Woodlands High School, and I think that it should be called EYL High. And I just don't see the argument why it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
because it's not like Woodlands is named after anything. Like Woodland, that's not a historical figure. That's nothing. That's just woodlands. It's just like wood in the land. Like that's nothing.
it's a geographical description.
And I think we could do some dope stuff with that high school too. Like we could have it like really lit. Like have it with the sports program super dope. Have people come in.
TV timeout. Let's go to Pizza Hut real quick, or an amazing sponsor named Ally.
So it's something to think about.
Why
man.
not?
Yes, but I'm looking forward to see Ian. I'm looking forward to see how tall it's gonna. Because that's another thing too.
It's gotta be.
These people were making statues like 300 feet tall. So it's like that's another thing too. How tall your statue is says how much you think about yourself. Because you can have a 5-foot statue, 10-foot statue, but when you start building 100-foot statues of yourself,
like you're building. So like when you say you're building it, you're funding it too.
Yeah,
like
that's what they did. That's what I'm saying. That's what they did.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm saying like people can build statues in your honor. Like Steph got a statue in China.
Stephon Marbury.
Yeah, they built a statue.
Oh,
They did.
They love Steph.
But he didn't. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't build it. But that's also a life-size statue.
But that's crazy.
No, that is crazy.
He's from Coney Island.
It's extremely impressive. But that's a life-size. Well, Staples Center.
That's what I was thinking about. These like Shaq has a statue out
Staples
there.
Center.
Magic got a statue out there.
Yeah,
but they didn't build.
But they didn't build it for
was
themselves.
built in their
it was
honor.
built in their honor.
Right. Did Trump do that?
And they're sports figures. I haven't seen. This is a good research for anybody.
I'm
by next.
Go ahead.
Next week, let's all do this research. Outside of sports figures in modern history, if there has ever been a statue of a living person that's not a sports or entertainer,
Living person,
a living person while they're still living.
Right.
I'll be very interested to notice. I can't think of any. Even Trump ain't even do that.
I feel like he did.
Trump? He named
built a statue?
Buildings after himself.
There might be a statue in the building or something.
Nah, I don't think he did a statue. That's legend.
In the lobby. I feel like he would do that.
That's
like,
legend.
put it right in the
If
lobby.
he did do it, it's extremely legendary. I don't think he did that. I don't think anybody has a statue of themselves if they're not at Staples Center.
Google's your friend, bro. We're gonna Google this.
I mean, if we're going off impact and most money made and opening up a lane for Black people to be able to talk about investing, our statue knew about tall as Snoop was when he was walking through New York, being disrespectful, crushing in buildings. Biggie put a quick fix to that, boy.
Shout out but the Valley of the Kings is very impressive, man. That really opened my eyes because just to see, like, it's just very, very impressive to see. And it's just really, really, it puts it in perspective. Like, like to build a pyramid, you gotta be a special kind of person to even think about something like that. Pyramids is crazy. Like, and it's illmatic. Who's that?
We forgot Philly.
Who?
What's his name? Sylvester Stallone got the joint in Philly.
Entertainer.
We said athlete. But he's playing a boxer.
Athlete or entertainer. Arnold Schwarzenegger, entertainer.
Well, governor.
Well, that statue's a bodybuilding statue.
The governor. This is
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody. Even Steve Jobs, I don't think he had a statue while he was still alive.
Apple almost act like they forget he made that company.
Yeah.
No flags on Steve Jobs Day.
Somebody gonna send us something.
Somebody's gonna make a statue.
They're working on it now.
Where's my statue? Commission my statue.
For real.
Please.
If I got anyone I can build one, bronze is okay, but I prefer marble or something.
I prefer marble.
Let's get to working on it. Oh, I want to give my love to everybody in Jackson, Mississippi. Shout out to my guy J Mac. That crisis, that water crisis that's going on there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Deion Sanders. Shout out to the whole city of Mississippi. Is extremely, extremely, disheartening that in 2022 we still having these issues, but hopefully it can be resolved quickly. But yeah,
6 days already. No water, no toilet, no. And the issue has been going on since 2020. It says it's really been happening since 2020 that they really haven't had drinking water. So like people from Jackson, 150,000 people, man, no water to flush, no water to drink. It's been bottled water or boiled water, which is making it tough now because they can't even get water to boil. So prayers up for everybody in Jackson, and obviously Jackson.
They had a game today, so I think that they might be back.
The team?
Yeah, they had a game today.
Yeah.
Home
Is it
game.
home?
Yeah, it's a home game.
Okay.
So I think they might be back. I'm not sure, but
if this happened in 2001 and someone from the Middle East did that, that would be called an act of terrorism. I don't think it's accidental that a city with 83% Black people ends up going through an issue like this. This would not have happened in California or.
It only happens. It might happen in California, but it'll be a Black neighborhood. Yeah. It only happens in Black areas. It's Flint, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep.
They don't have. It doesn't happen in neighborhoods that's not Black.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out.
And it's a bigger issue. So I was just doing the research on the mayor. So Mayor Lumumba from Jackson is really like a political issue in the sense where, so Joe Biden had the landmark infrastructure bill, right? That was embarked for money to go to disadvantaged neighborhoods and underserved communities like Jackson. But the funding, right, once it gets to the state, has to go through the legislators. So the legislators decide where the funding's going to go. And so he's had an issue with some of the legislation because they want, allegedly, in his lawsuit, they want the airport back. The state wants the airport back from them, and they're not willing to give it. And so when it comes to funding things like the water plant in Jackson, they're like, all right, well, we'll do it when we can. Obviously, this crisis happened because of flooding, but it was a crisis that happened in 2020 because of the temperature at first when it was just too cold and the pipes got eroded. And so people have been dealing with this treatment facility problem for over 2 years, right? In 2020, there was 6 weeks when they didn't have water. Like, no, it didn't make any news. But people are living in these conditions, man. So it's a huge issue, but it's also a very political issue, and that's why it's important. Like when we say, like, yo, you really should know who you're voting for or who you're putting in place. These are those type of situations, and obviously we know the history of a state like Mississippi. It's tough. It's tough for all Black community in a state like that to overcome some of these issues. So they're gonna need our support.
One last thing about Egypt. You got to have a very strong self-esteem to build a statue of yourself, but you got to have an out of this world self-esteem to build 1,000-foot statue of yourself on a lion's body. That is the ultimate. That Sphinx situation, that's what it was made after. I forgot what pharaoh, but the lion is like strength, strongest animal. So he to even think that you're going to have something that's 1,000 feet, maybe even bigger than that, and you're going to put your human face on a lion's body while you're still alive, that might take the cake. That might take the cake out of anything that's ever been done in history.
What you think?
It's up there.
We want to go into the Anunnaki talk, or we want to save it?
We'll save that. We'll save it.
High level conversation.
High level conversation. Yes.
Save that.
Yes.
That's the proper place.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to 19
Throw away all your history, then you can't have the secrets that teaches you how to empower yourself. Go back and study some of that history. I think it's really interesting to understand why they created those structures and the symbolism behind it. And then even for hieroglyphics, give credit where credit is due. Polite said it, like many years ago, they took hieroglyphics and morphed them into emojis and monetized even the look of hieroglyphics in corporate America. Go study their history.
I mean, they commercialized everything. They got a casino. They got a casino in Las Vegas called Luxor with a white person's face on the Sphinx. They just
it's actual depiction of the actual Pyramids of Giza because it was literally originally in gold. It was gold coated.
Yeah.
And so that's why the hotel looks like that.
I mean, yeah, you got a city named Memphis in Memphis, Tennessee, named after Memphis in Egypt. I mean, we can go on and on about
No
this,
bunch.
but yeah, bonus. The history will be a bonus.
See?
Market Mondays bonus. Market Mondays live at Madison Square Garden.
Talk to
him. Very important. Talking about history. We talk about history and historical moments. This is up there. This is up there. First time ever, financial literacy, sold out, Madison Square Garden. Not to be looked over, not to be taken lightly. Extremely important moment in American history for sure, but also extremely important moment in world history. I'm not joking when I'm saying this, because when we went to Nigeria, when we went to Jamaica, when we went to London, and they're telling us that they're looking at us for leadership and that we're inspiring them and that we're educating them. So this movement is something that's going to be historically documented as something that changed the direction of America, but also something that changed the direction of the world. I saw it firsthand. This is people that's telling me this. I'm not telling them this. They're telling me this. Yeah. Speaking of that, we're headed to London for InvestFest Europe on October 31st, Halloween. Royal Albert Hall, the most prestigious venue in the UK and one of the most prestigious venues in Europe. Another historical moment, never been done before, especially by anybody that's Black. This is historical moments in time. We're living in a very historical moment, and don't miss the moment. InvestFest was a moment in history.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss the moment, because you never know if it's going to happen again. Anything can happen. So when you have an opportunity, you have to be there. So Market Mondays live. Encourage everybody to do that. The tab is on our website. And InvestFest Europe, encourage everybody to do that. The tab is on our website. And Fashion Week, another historical moment.
Yeah. Shout out to our partners, United Master. Shout out to the people over at Ally. We want to give you a great choice. If you're looking to bank or invest, Ally is the leading digital financial service company with passionate customer service and relentlessly focused on doing it right for both customers and our communities. Ally is giving our Market Monday viewers a special offer at ally.com/EYL so that you can save, invest, and spend on the things that matter most to you. Again, that's ally.com/EYL. For everything we need, we're all better off with the Ally. Securities, products, and services are offered through Ally Invest Securities, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Shout out to Ally and shout out to Detroit. We've got to shout out to Detroit. Shout out to our boys out in Detroit. Ken, shout out Chill. We had a good time. They showed us around the city a little bit. Shout out to my man Mario over at Shinola.
Jalen Rose.
Detroit, man. So much love out there. So much love out there.
Speaking of schools, Jalen Rose is raising $10 million for his school. It desperately needs help. They have a gym in their cafeteria. They don't have air conditioning system in half of the school. It's a charter school, so the charter schools are not funded. The building and transportation is not funded by the state. So the building and transportation has to be funded by private money. He had Steve Ballmer there the day that we were there, which that was crazy. So long story short, maybe we can start some level of a campaign, because it's very important. And he's doing great work in the city of Detroit. So yes. We'll talk about that, but
we'll get there. I mean,
it's important.
Legendary person. What he's doing is historic. The fact that he's doing it a mile away from where he grew up makes it even more incredible. The fact that he turned the elementary school into a full functioning 9 through 12 high school, incredible. The graduation rate is incredible, but he needs help. And so we're gonna do what we can. We'll figure something out. We're gonna figure something out.
And I actually have a video. I'll show what you in about Market Mondays that happened in at Jalen Rose's school. So yeah, shout out to Jay Rose. Legendary situation.
Yeah. I know we talked about it last week, but next week, please tune in. I got 2 mega bonuses if you come to Market Mondays live. I will do it at top of show. I'm learning. Hook him in for next week. So tune in next week. 2 amazing bonuses, one of which I've never done before or given away. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. Gonna help you guys even more, make more money during a recession. New version of Sniper coming soon. Tune in next week. I'll show you how to get access to it. And one other amazing bonus. Let me just do 3 amazing things next week.
3.
Get your tickets.
That's it. Love, that's my number.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. And Happy New Year to everybody in education, to all the teachers, to all the staff, to all the custodians, all the teachers' aides, monitors, all the students. Happy New Year. Let's have a blessed year. Let's have an amazing one. I know the pandemic was rough. And so this is like the first kind of full year that we're back into the swing of having things kind of the way they were. So hopefully everybody has a healthy and a blessed year. Shout out to all the educators. Love y'all.
Peace.
Peace.